The galaxy had always been a place of cosmic order. Powerful species, like the Telari and the Choctaw, ruled the stars with a firm grip, maintaining peace and dominance over the lesser species. Their empires stretched across light years, their weapons and technology beyond the comprehension of most other life forms. However, there was one species that had always perplexed and, to some extent, unsettled the galaxy's more sophisticated civilizations: humans. Humanity had emerged from their primitive past in an unfathomably short amount of time. Their rapid technological growth and resourcefulness defied all expectations. In the grand tapestry of the galaxy, Earth was a speck, a minor planet in an obscure corner of the Milky Way. Yet, despite their lack of advanced weaponry or hyper-advanced technologies, the galaxy's greatest minds couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was something different, a force to be reckoned with. This realization came into sharp focus when a small human vessel, the Pride of Earth, ventured into the forbidden space surrounding the galactic core. It was a region few species dared enter, where gravitational anomalies and hostile alien civilizations were known to dwell. The Telari had tried to enforce a ban on entry, claiming the dangers of the region were too great for any race to survive. But, in classic human fashion, the Pride of Earth didn't listen. Captain Samantha Ellis, a decorated veteran of Earth Space Command, led the mission. She was fearless, with a reputation for pushing the limits and succeeding against all odds. Her crew, an eclectic mix of human specialists from every corner of the Earth, was equally driven by a singular belief: humanity was destined for greatness, no matter the cost. The ship entered the dark expanse, its sleek hull cutting through the vast emptiness. Soon, they encountered something no one expected: a massive alien ship, its design unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The craft was silent, seemingly dormant, drifting like a forgotten relic in the void. Samantha's heart raced as she stared at the colossal vessel. "We don't know what we're dealing with here," she said, her voice steady, yet full of the tension that gripped her. "But we're not turning back." In the quiet of the bridge, the crew members exchanged nervous glances, but they trusted her judgment. She was their captain, their leader, and if anyone could make it through, it was her. What happened next could have been a disaster for any other species. As the Pride of Earth approached the alien ship, its dormant systems suddenly hummed to life. Strange symbols appeared across the hull, flickering like warnings in an ancient alien language. Weapons activated, and the ship's massive energy cannons locked onto the human vessel. The crew braced for impact. Then something unexpected happened. The Pride of Earth's shields activated, but it was not just a simple defense mechanism. The human shields were unlike anything the alien systems had ever encountered, a hybrid technology of human ingenuity and resourcefulness, pulling from both their own creations and scavenged tech from countless species. The alien weapons fired, massive beams of destructive energy hurtling toward the small human ship, yet the Pride of Earth dodged them with an uncanny precision. Captain Ellis didn't give orders, she simply trusted her crew and their instincts. In a flurry of calculations and adjustments, the ship maneuvered with impossible agility, making the alien weaponry seem sluggish and ineffective. The aliens, unable to comprehend how the human ship evaded their attacks, fell into disarray. The initial shock of the humans' unyielding defense was enough to throw their system into chaos, as they scrambled to adapt to a force they had never encountered before. Captain Ellis saw an opening and issued a daring command. "Prepare the countermeasure protocol." It's time they knew who they're dealing with. With precision and speed that belied the ship's size, the Pride of Earth launched a counterattack. The human-made missiles pierced through the alien shields, disabling their weapon systems one by one. The crew worked in tandem, knowing the stakes: they had no backup, no reinforcements. It was all or nothing. The alien ship, once a looming threat, was now a sitting target. The humans, despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, had turned the tables. The crew cheered in relief as the alien vessel's power systems finally shut down, leaving it floating motionless in space. It wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. Humanity had not only survived the encounter, but had triumphed in a way no other species could have imagined. Word would spread across the galaxy that humanity was no longer a weak, primitive race. They were a force to be reckoned with. And with that, the true fear of humanity had begun to take root in the minds of the galactic powers. Little did the galaxy know, this was just the beginning of humanity's rise to power, and the storm they had unwittingly unleashed would shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. The aftermath of the Pride of Earth's mission rippled through the galaxy, sparking panic and disbelief. The news of a human ship single-handedly disabling a powerful alien vessel traveled faster than light, reaching every corner of the known universe. The Telari, who had long considered themselves the undisputed rulers of the stars, were the first to respond. Their High Council convened in a secret meeting, their ornate chambers dimly lit by the pale glow of their homeworld's twin moons. How could this happen? One of the Telari commanders demanded, his voice edged with disbelief. A human vessel, no bigger than a raider, defeated one of our most powerful warships? It wasn't just a victory. It was an annihilation, replied the second-in-command, a cold, calculating individual whose tactical mind had never been shaken until now. Their technology is unremarkable, crude, by our standards. But their resilience, their ability to adapt under pressure, it's something we've never seen before. Another Telari leader, a veteran strategist known for his wisdom, interjected. This is more than technology. It's their will. The humans don't give up. They don't know when to quit. And that is why they are dangerous. Across the galaxy, the Choctaw, a once dominant species that ruled through fear and intimidation, held a similar meeting. Their reptilian leaders exchanged nervous glances, their scaly hides gleaming under the flickering lights of their war room. The humans are reckless, growled one of the Choctaw elders, a towering figure with glowing red eyes. But we can't underestimate their capacity for survival. We need to prepare. We cannot allow this to continue, another Choctaw said. If they gain more ground, they'll become a threat to us all. We need to crush them before they rise any further. The human victory had created an undeniable shift in the galaxy's power dynamics. But while the galaxy's elite races debated, humanity was busy doing what it did best, expanding. Back on Earth, the Pride of Earth's return was met with widespread celebration. But for Captain Samantha Ellis, the victory had come at a price. She had felt the eyes of the universe upon her, and she knew that her crew's success had made them a target. There would be no more hiding in the shadows. The galaxy was watching. I don't know what we've started, she admitted to her first officer, Lieutenant James Carter, as they sat in the ship's command center, reviewing the intelligence reports. But I don't think they're going to let us off easy. James glanced over the data, his brow furrowed in concern. You're right. The Telari, the Choctaw, and even the Vasher, their spies have already reported the incident. If they thought we were a minor inconvenience before, they're going to treat us like a threat now. They won't just sit back and let us grow stronger. Samantha's jaw tightened. We don't have a choice, James. We've already made our mark. If we back down now, if we show any sign of fear, it'll be the end of us. We have to push forward. We have to show them that humanity will not be broken. And so, Earth embarked on its new path, a path fraught with peril and opportunity. Samantha knew the stakes were higher than ever, but she had one advantage that no other species could match: humanity's unyielding determination. They were willing to sacrifice everything for survival, to endure hardships that would break even the strongest of other races. The next step came quickly. In the wake of the Pride of Earth's victory, the United Earth government authorized the creation of an advanced fleet, ships equipped with human ingenuity and adaptations derived from the encounters with alien technology. The fleet was a symbol of humanity's resilience and its ability to overcome any obstacle. It would be humanity's first true steps into a galaxy that now viewed them with growing concern. Meanwhile, in the heart of the galaxy, a secret meeting took place among the most powerful species. The decision was clear: humanity must be stopped before it became an unstoppable force. The Telari, Choctaw, Vasher, and other galactic powers began to mobilize their fleets. The war councils spoke in hushed tones, plotting strategies, assigning resources, and preparing for the inevitable conflict. Every species knew that the longer they waited, the stronger humanity would become. the unbreakable species could not be allowed to rise. But in their haste, they failed to realize one crucial thing: humanity had already begun to prepare for war. And the one thing they had that no other species possessed was the ability to outlast, outthink, and fight with a resolve that no one could match. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy to its core, a conflict between the established powers and the unbreakable species, the humans. The galaxy had always known peace, but that peace was a fragile illusion. Humanity's rise had disrupted the delicate balance, and now the established powers were determined to strike before it was too late. What they did not know was that the humans had anticipated such a response. The first attack came swiftly. A fleet of Telari warships, led by Admiral Tarek Val, a seasoned military strategist, descended upon Earth's space sector, their intentions clear: destroy the source of the galaxy's new threat before it could build momentum. The Telari believed that with a decisive blow, they could erase the human presence and send a message to all other species that defying the natural order was unforgivable. As the Telari fleet approached the outer rim of Earth's solar system, they prepared to unleash their full force: missile barrages, ion cannons, and energy blasts. Yet, they were not prepared for what they would face. On Earth, Captain Samantha Ellis stood on the bridge of the Pride of Earth's sister ship, the Victory's Edge. She had been briefed about the incoming threat, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she turned to her crew with a calm determination that resonated in every corner of the bridge. "We've trained for this moment," she said, her voice steady. "We don't need to be the biggest or the most powerful. We just need to be the most resourceful. Let's show them what humanity is made of." As the Telari warships drew closer, humanity's first countermeasure came into play: the Victory's Edge's new cloak-enhanced stealth technology. The Pride of Earth's battle with the alien ship had revealed a crucial weakness in the galaxy's most powerful fleets: their reliance on large, predictable formations. Humanity, with its vast reserves of ingenuity, had designed a new class of stealth ships that could outmaneuver even the most advanced sensors. The Telari fleet was upon them before they even knew it. "What in the stars?" Admiral Tarek Val's voice crackled over the communications line as his flagship, the Storm's Fury, scanned the void for any sign of human ships. The stealth ships had already moved into position, invisible to the most sophisticated Telari sensors. "Prepare for battle," Tarek ordered, but it was already too late. The first salvo of human torpedoes launched from hidden positions, striking the Telari warships with pinpoint precision. The Telari ships, used to overwhelming force, were taken aback by the sudden, strategic assault. "Shields are holding, but there's heavy damage to the aft," the first officer on Tarek's ship reported. "We can't maintain formation if we keep taking hits like this." The human torpedoes were unlike anything the Telari had seen before. They were hybrids, part human innovation, part scavenged alien technology. Each one had been meticulously engineered to adapt to its target, adjusting its trajectory and composition mid-flight based on the alien shields and defensive systems it encountered. Admiral Tarek Val's flagship, the Storm's Fury, was one of the first to fall. Its shields faltered under the relentless assault, and its core reactor was destabilized by a perfectly timed strike. The Telari flagship exploded into a burst of light, the shockwave rippling through the fleet. The remaining Telari ships struggled to regroup, but the humans were relentless. The stealth ships, now visible after the initial strike, moved in formation with deadly precision, launching a second wave of attacks that targeted key systems on the Telari vessels. The human ships were small, but they were fast, and they didn't hesitate. Admiral Val's frustration turned to panic as his fleet was torn apart by the swarming human ships, and his once proud warships were reduced to floating wreckage. "This is impossible," he shouted. "How can this be happening?" But it was happening. Humanity's resolve and adaptability were proving to be their greatest weapons. The Telari had vastly underestimated the human spirit, their refusal to yield, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Back on Earth, the victory was celebrated as the first true triumph of humanity in the galactic arena. But for Samantha Ellis, there was little time for celebration. She knew this victory would only fuel the resolve of the other galactic powers. The Telari had been defeated, but they would return, and they wouldn't be the only ones. "Prepare the fleet for the next phase," Samantha ordered, her voice unwavering. "The galaxy is watching, and we need to be ready for whatever comes next. This isn't over." The first strike had been a resounding success, but the war had only just begun. The first wave of attacks had shattered the Telari fleet, but the victory brought little comfort to the humans. They knew that their defeat of the Telari was not the end of their struggle. The galaxy's other powers were watching, their fears growing, and they were already planning their next move. It wasn't long before humanity realized they weren't facing just the familiar foes of the Telari and Chokthar. Something more insidious had begun to stir in the shadows. The Pride of Earth and its sister ships had been strategically deployed across key locations in human space. However, Captain Samantha Ellis had recently received unsettling reports from one of Earth's outer colonies established in the wake of humanity's rapid expansion. These colonies had reported strange phenomena, unidentified ships that appeared and disappeared without a trace, entire settlements mysteriously wiped out with no signs of enemy engagement, and an eerie silence that settled in once vibrant worlds. The reports came from several colonies situated in an uncharted sector of the galaxy, far from the more established trade routes. But the worst part of the reports wasn't the destruction, it was the lack of identification. No enemy ship signatures, no known alien forces. Just silence and death. Samantha was on high alert. This isn't just some pirate raid. "Whoever or whatever is out there, they're avoiding detection," she said to her first officer, Lieutenant Carter, as the Pride of Earth prepared to head to the outer colonies to investigate. The journey took them far from Earth, beyond the reach of human reconnaissance satellites. The sector was uncharted, a barren stretch of space filled with ancient debris fields and broken planetary rings. As they approached the first colony, a small world called Viridian, the silence was deafening. There were no signals, no communications from the surface. The colony's orbital station, once a bustling hub, was now just a hollow shell. "We're receiving no transmission from the surface," said Lieutenant Carter, scanning the systems. "Something's wrong. They were active just a few days ago." "Bring us in closer," Samantha ordered, her eyes narrowed. "I don't like this." As they descended into the planet's atmosphere, Samantha's gut tightened. The colony was deserted, its cities in ruins, buildings collapsed as if struck by some great force. There was no sign of the inhabitants, no evidence of battle or escape. It was as though the entire population had vanished without a trace. The crew landed the ship on a derelict spaceport. The air outside was thick with dust and desolation. Samantha led a small team of Marines to investigate the wreckage, each step echoing in the eerie silence. They found no bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty homes, shattered windows, and abandoned equipment. "This doesn't make sense," said one of the Marines, scanning the area with a rifle in hand. "There's no sign of life here at all." Samantha's eyes scanned the surroundings, feeling an unsettling chill in the air. She knew they were being watched. "Keep your guard up. Something's not right." It wasn't until they reached the central command hub that they found the first clue, a series of encrypted messages, hidden in a military-grade communication array. The messages were garbled, but the fragments they managed to recover told a chilling story. A message from the colony's commander to Earth's authorities, "We have detected something in the dark. It is not a ship. It is something else. It is everywhere. It is closing in." Before they could uncover more, an eerie hum filled the air, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Samantha felt the hairs on the back of her neck rise. The feeling of being hunted was undeniable. Then, from the shadows, something emerged, something the humans had never seen before. It was a creature that seemed to flicker in and out of existence, its form shifting and warping as though it were made of liquid shadow, with eyes that glowed a menacing green. The creature lunged at them with terrifying speed, its movement almost impossible to track. The Marines opened fire, but their weapons seemed ineffective against the creature, the bullets passing through it as though it were nothing more than smoke. It attacked with brutal force, taking down 2 Marines in an instant. we need to get back to the ship," Samantha shouted, her voice sharp with urgency. "Now!" The team retreated, fighting against the creature's relentless pursuit. As they ran, Samantha felt a deep, unsettling realization: they weren't just fighting a physical enemy. They were fighting an enemy that didn't obey the laws of physics, something beyond anything humanity had encountered. Once they reached the pride of Earth and managed to get back into space, the creature vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The colony remained as silent as ever. Back on the ship, Samantha's mind raced. That wasn't an alien. That thing didn't belong to any species we know. Whatever it is, it's unlike anything we've ever faced. Lieutenant Carter nodded grimly. It was intelligent. It knew we were there. And it wasn't afraid of us. Humanity had crossed a threshold. They were no longer just fighting the known powers of the galaxy, they were facing an ancient and hidden enemy, one that had lurked in the shadows for millennia. Something that might be the greatest threat to their very existence. The galaxy had never seen a species like humanity, determined, adaptable, and relentless. But now, they faced something that would test every ounce of their strength, and the stakes were higher than ever before. After the encounter on Viridian, Captain Samantha Ellis and her crew returned to Earth, their minds consumed by what they had witnessed. The creature, the dark entity that had attacked them, was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It wasn't just an alien predator, it was something far more sinister, something that had been waiting in the dark corners of the galaxy for eons. The Galactic Council, which had once been unified in their fear of humanity's rise, was now in disarray. The Telari and Chocthar were no longer the only threats in the galaxy. The humans had uncovered an enemy far more dangerous, and this new threat was not content to remain hidden. As the Pride of Earth and its fleet arrived at Earth's orbital station, Samantha and her crew were called to a top-secret meeting with the United Earth Government's War Council. The mood was somber, and the room was heavy with the weight of their new reality. "This creature, whatever it is, represents an entirely new threat to all of us," said General David Hartman, Earth's top military advisor. "Our intelligence suggests that it isn't native to any of the known regions in the galaxy. It's ancient, and it's not alone. The reports from the Viridian colony match a pattern. This creature, or others like it, has been hunting in the dark fringes of the galaxy for millennia." Samantha crossed her arms, her gaze fixed on the holographic display in front of them, which projected the remains of the Viridian colony. The images of the devastation, the abandoned cities, and the fleeting shadow of the creature were haunting. "If we don't know what it is, how can we defend ourselves against it? We barely survived the encounter, and our weapons didn't even scratch it. We've analyzed the data," General Hartman continued, "and we believe this entity is not just a predator. It's part of something much bigger, an ancient race or force, lost to history. A race that has been watching, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge." "Do we know who or what they are?" Lieutenant Carter asked, his tone sharp. "No," Hartman replied gravely. "But our top xenologists are working around the clock to decipher every bit of information we've recovered. This creature is unlike anything in our archives. It's as if it exists outside of the physical laws we understand." Samantha's mind raced. An enemy that could manipulate reality itself, one that could flicker in and out of existence, was a challenge that no conventional weapons or tactics could defeat. The Pride of Earth had proven humanity's strength in battle, but this enemy was different, beyond their capacity to fight in the traditional sense. "We can't just sit back and wait for them to strike again," Samantha said firmly. "We need to find out who or what these creatures are and how to stop them before they wipe out everything we've worked for." General Hartman nodded. "We agree. We're sending a team of our best scientists and military strategists to investigate further. We're also reaching out to other species that may have encountered similar threats in the past. The Telari, the Chocthar, even the Vasher, they all know more than they're letting on." As Samantha prepared to depart for a new mission to gather intelligence on these shadowy beings, she felt a sense of unease settle over her. The galaxy was vast, and they had already made powerful enemies. But now, they were facing something that transcended everything they had ever known. The creatures they had encountered on Viridian were not just predators. They were part of an ancient, hidden war, and humanity had unwittingly stumbled into the fray. "Captain, we've received a transmission from the Telari," said Lieutenant Carter, his voice tense. "It's not what we expected." Samantha raised an eyebrow. "The Telari? After we just annihilated their fleet, they're reaching out?" "It's not a threat. It's a warning," Carter replied. "They say that these creatures are older than the stars themselves. They call them the Erethish, a race that once ruled the galaxy before it was swallowed by the void." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. The name echoed through her thoughts, a word that carried the weight of ancient terror. The Erethish were not just a race, they were an extinction-level threat, something that could devour entire civilizations. And now, humanity was in their path. "Prepare the fleet," Samantha ordered, her voice steady despite the growing tension. "We're not backing down. We've survived the odds before. Now, we need to find out how to defeat these creatures before they bring the galaxy to its knees." As humanity prepared for the next stage of the battle, the Erethish continued to move through the dark corners of the galaxy, unseen, waiting. But this time, humanity was not alone in the darkness. They had made allies in their rise to power, alliances forged through the shared understanding that, together, they could survive what was coming. The unbreakable species would not face extinction without a fight. The stage was set. The Erethish were ancient, but humanity was not afraid. It had survived every test, adapted to every challenge. And the galaxy would learn just how unbreakable humanity truly was. In the aftermath of the first devastating encounter with the Erethish, the galaxy's perception of humanity shifted once again. Earth's alliance with the Telari had always been tenuous, built on mutual distrust and fear. But the revelation of the Erethish, an ancient, galaxy-spanning threat, forced the universe's disparate species to reconsider their positions. Humanity was no longer just a rising power, it was a linchpin in the struggle for survival. The United Earth government, once isolated in their defense of Earth, now called upon the galaxy's greatest powers to form an alliance. Samantha Ellis, the captain of the Pride of Earth, stood before a newly formed council that represented the varied species, some allies, others reluctant. The council chamber was a place where egos and old rivalries clashed, but today, all eyes were on the shared enemy. "Now is the time," Samantha said, her voice unwavering as she addressed the room, "for all of us to set aside our differences and unite. The Erethish are not bound by the laws of space or time. They do not care about borders, about the power structures that divide us. If we don't act together, we will all fall." The room was filled with the leaders of the galaxy's most powerful species. The Telari, once the dominant force, now spoke with an edge of fear that Samantha had never heard before. Admiral Tarek Val, his voice much quieter than it had been in their last encounter, was the first to speak. "The Erethish are more than just a threat to Earth," he said gravely. "They are a threat to all of us. We've lost entire colonies to them. The reports from our deep space outposts confirm what the humans have discovered: these creatures are not just killers. They're conquerors, and their hunger is boundless." The Choctaw, standing tall with their scaly hides reflecting the dim light, growled in agreement. "The Erethish's power is unlike anything we have ever encountered," their leader, General Krog, said in his harsh, guttural voice. "Their ability to phase in and out of reality, to strike without warning, this is not a war we can fight with conventional means. We need a new approach." The Vasher, whose sleek, energy-based form pulsed with vibrant hues of blue and green, were quieter than usual. Their representative, Commander Lyra, finally spoke. "Our knowledge of quantum anomalies might hold the key. If the Erethish exist outside of normal spacetime, then we may be able to predict their movements, detect their presence, or even disrupt their ability to phase in and out." The idea of working together with the galaxy's former enemies was a hard pill to swallow for many in the room, but the shared fear of the Erethish was enough to unite them. They agreed to form an unprecedented military alliance, pooling their best technologies, their brightest minds, and their military resources. But there was one glaring issue. The Arethish weren't just a physical threat, they were elusive, able to appear and disappear at will. No matter how advanced the weapons, the Arethish had proven that they could withstand anything the galaxy had to offer. The solution wasn't just to fight, they needed to learn about their enemy, to understand its origins and weaknesses. Samantha's mind turned to the data they had gathered from Viridian. The encrypted message from the colony commander had mentioned a phrase that still haunted her thoughts, asterisk, "They are not from this dimension." Asterisk. The galaxy's greatest minds, including human scientists, Telari researchers, and Vasher quantum physicists, were now working around the clock to decode the encrypted files from Viridian. Samantha had a sinking feeling that the truth was far more dangerous than anyone was ready to face. "Captain, we've got something," Dr. Asha Patel, the lead xenologist for the United Earth government, said as she burst into the command center of the Pride of Earth. "We've cracked the code. It's a reference to an ancient conflict, one that took place long before any of us ever existed. The Arethish were not simply conquerors. They were exiles." Samantha looked up, her interest piqued. "Exiles? What do you mean?" Dr. Patel's eyes were wide with revelation. The Arethish were once the dominant species in the galaxy. But they were overthrown by a coalition of ancient races, races that no longer exist, wiped out by the very beings they had opposed. The Arethish were cast out, sealed away in a pocket of spacetime, a prison beyond our reach. Until now. "The Arethish have been released," Samantha murmured, the weight of the discovery sinking in. "They're not just looking for power, they're seeking revenge. We're not their first targets. We're just in the way." Dr. Patel nodded grimly. "If we don't act quickly, they will make their way across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path, until there's nothing left but dust." With this new information, the Alliance sprang into action. The galaxy's greatest minds and most capable fleets were mobilized to confront the Arethish threat. Humanity, the Telari, the Chokthar, and the Vasher now had a common purpose, one that went beyond politics, beyond ancient grudges. They were fighting for survival. As the fleets gathered in a massive staging area, Samantha stood at the helm of the Pride of Earth, looking out at the stars. The vast expanse of space had never seemed so daunting. The war with the Arethish was no longer about conquering or expanding. It was about holding on to existence itself. "We may not have the numbers, but we have something they don't," Samantha said to her crew, her voice steady with resolve. "We have each other. And we have humanity's will to survive." The battle for the galaxy had only just begun, and humanity was ready to show the universe what it truly meant to be unbreakable. The alliance was in place. The fleets of humanity, the Telari, the Chokthar, and the Vasher had united under a single banner, their collective will focused on stopping the Arethish from destroying everything they held dear. But as the day of battle approached, Samantha Ellis knew that their struggle was far from over. The Arethish were not just an enemy to be defeated, they were an existential threat, a force of nature that had been waiting for eons to rise again. The first major strike came from an unknown quadrant of space, a flash of light in the distance that signaled the Arethish's arrival. It was not a fleet in the traditional sense, but a wave of shifting, intangible entities that emerged from the fabric of reality itself. The Arethish had mastered the ability to phase in and out of existence, appearing at will, their forms flickering like shadows against the stars. Samantha stood on the bridge of the Pride of Earth, watching as the vast armada of ships gathered around her. Every ship in the Alliance was positioned in a tight formation, ready to engage, but the uncertainty of what they were up against weighed heavily on her. No one had ever fought an enemy like this. "We can't hit them directly," Dr. Patel said, her voice urgent as she spoke over the comms. "They're not physically here in the way we understand it. It's as if they exist in multiple dimensions at once." "We don't need to hit them directly," Samantha replied, her mind racing. "We need to force them into one place. We need to trap them, give them nowhere to run." It was a dangerous gamble, but Samantha trusted in humanity's ingenuity. The Alliance had developed a new weapon, an energy disruptor that could alter the fabric of spacetime itself. The Vasher had provided the technology, and the humans had modified it into a tactical weapon. It wasn't meant to destroy the Erethish physically, but to destabilize their ability to phase in and out of reality. The Pride of Earth's fleet was positioned on the front lines. The Choctaw and Telari ships formed a secondary line, while the Vasher remained in the rear, ready to provide backup with their quantum technology. Together, they were a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. As the Erethish appeared from the void, their forms flickering and shifting, the Alliance's ships opened fire. But the blasts passed harmlessly through the Erethish, their energy dissipating as they phased in and out of reality. For a moment, it seemed as though the enemy was invincible, untouchable. Then, Samantha gave the order. Activate the disruptors. The Pride of Earth unleashed the first wave of energy, a blast that rippled through space like a wave of distortion. The Erethish flickered, their forms momentarily losing coherence as the disruptors tore at the fabric of their existence. For the first time, the Erethish were forced into one place, their flickering forms momentarily solidifying, trapped in the distortions of spacetime. "We've got them," shouted Lieutenant Carter, his voice filled with awe. But it wasn't over yet. The Erethish were not so easily defeated. They began to adapt, their forms shifting violently as they fought against the disruptors' effects. The battle intensified as the Erethish unleashed waves of psychic energy, attacking the minds of the Alliance crews, attempting to break their will. Samantha gripped the arm of her chair, her jaw clenched. The Erethish were trying to fracture their unity, to break them from within. But humanity had survived worse. The will to fight, the drive to survive, ran deep in their blood. "Hold the line," Samantha shouted, her voice resolute. "We will not let them win." The battle raged on, a violent dance of light and shadow, as the Alliance's ships fired relentlessly at the Erethish forces, using every weapon they had. But the Erethish continued to fight back, their psychic attacks tearing at the minds of the crew, their forces constantly shifting and phasing between dimensions. Then, it happened. The Pride of Earth took a direct hit, its shields collapsing under the psychic onslaught. Samantha's head slammed against the console, and for a moment, everything went black. The bridge was filled with the sounds of alarms, and her crew scrambled to maintain control. But as her vision cleared, she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. One of the Erethish had materialized right in front of her. It was a massive, shifting shadow, its form made of pure darkness. Its eyes glowed an unnatural green, and it reached toward her with a hand that seemed to stretch across the very fabric of reality. But Samantha didn't flinch. She knew what she had to do. "Fire everything," she ordered, her voice cold with determination. The ship's weapons roared to life. The combined firepower of the Pride of Earth's weapons, enhanced by the Vasher's quantum disruptors, flooded the Erethish with an overwhelming force of energy. The shadow creature screamed, its form flickering violently as the blasts tore at its essence. It was no longer phasing in and out of existence, it was becoming more solid, more real. And for the first time, it was vulnerable. "Now!" Samantha yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Fire the disruptor wave." With a final, unified effort, the energy wave slammed into the heart of the Erethish forces. The entire battlefield trembled as the wave tore through spacetime itself, distorting reality around the Erethish and forcing them into one dimension, one place. The Erethish screamed as their existence was torn apart, their forms collapsing into nothingness. The battle was over. The Erethish had been defeated. Samantha stood at the helm of the Pride of Earth, breathing heavily, her body exhausted from the fight. The once terrifying fleet of Erethish ships lay in ruins, their threat eradicated. The galaxy had survived. But as she looked out into the vastness of space, she knew that the victory had come at a cost. The Erethish were gone, but there would always be new threats. New challenges. And humanity would face them, no matter what. "We're not done yet," Samantha said, her voice steady. "The galaxy will never be the same. But humanity has shown that we are unbreakable." And as the stars glistened in the distance, the unbreakable species stood ready for whatever came next.